Sutra of Resource, the law of Yin and Yang. A man is made by a woman. Nature created a dual-gendered world relatively recently, assigning men the role of optimizing and protecting the primary process that sustains life within a woman, who carries the meaning, programs, and energy of life. Do you remember the joke? Bill and Hillary Clinton stop at a gas station and recognize an old college friend working there. Bill says to his wife, "It's been so many years, and you used to like him. Can you imagine what life would have been like if you kept dating him instead of me?" To which Hillary replies, "I can imagine perfectly, he'd be president, not you." Jokes aside, it's true women largely determine a man's future, his ambitions, and his destiny. A man's task is to find a woman who sets a very high bar for herself, not for him. The woman's task is to find a man who can rise to that level. In the ancient and wise Jewish culture, nationality is determined by the maternal line, and Kabbalah understands such things very well. Men and women complement each other not only anatomically. In reality, every person contains both masculine and feminine qualities. The more masculine a man is, the more feminine a woman he seeks. Status, success, and wealth are rooted in feminine energy. Roles can even be reversed. If a woman has a lot of masculine energy, she will seek a more nurturing, feminine partner. The more yang energy a man has, the more yin he seeks in a woman and vice versa. According to ancient Chinese philosophy, the endless quest for harmony in all things on earth is deeply rooted in the balance of yin and yang. This harmony governs the world, preventing one foundational force from completely outweighing the other. From this irresistible drive for harmony, all-conquering love is born. This was true for the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, Suleiman I, also known as Suleiman the Magnificent. During an era when the Ottoman Empire had already become a superpower, encompassing nearly all of southeastern Europe, most of North Africa, and the Near and Middle East, sultans were not known for sentimentality. The strong, active, masculine yang principle dominated each of them. There was little space left for the soft, feminine yin, and even that space was dominated by masculine yang. Love was confined to the harem, and a concubine could easily find herself at the mercy of the sultan, ending either with a silk cord, at best, or a leather sack, at worst, where she would be drowned in the Bosphorus alongside a snake and an enraged cat. Suleiman I was no exception to this rule. Passionate, active, warlike, and, in keeping with the times, ruthlessly cruel, he relaxed under the influence of the irresistible yin only with his official concubines in his harem. His firm, yang nature drew him to yin. Well-educated and with impeccable artistic taste, Suleiman was ready for true love, and he found it in Roxlana. Anastasia Lisovska, the daughter of a priest from the Ukrainian town of Rohatyn, was captured during a Tatar raid and later gifted, not sold, to Suleiman. Cheerful, witty, beautiful, and educated, she spent all her free time in the magnificent library of the Sultan's palace. She completely captured the heart of the great Sultan. She became his only love, a rare case in harem practices, his best friend, and his advisor. Finally, she became his lawful wife. Before the entire court and amazed European diplomats, Suleiman ascended the throne with his beloved harem Hasaki Sultan, his laughing mistress. If a wife cannot preserve, neither can a husband. Without a wife, a man is like one without hands. The harmony of yin and yang that settled in the Sultan's palace transformed the entire Ottoman Empire. Under Roxolana's influence and often under her direct guidance, magnificent palaces and mosques were built, as well as hospitals, soup kitchens, shelters for the poor, madrasas, primary schools, fountains, and even a women's bazaar. The energy released from the fusion of yin and yang transformed the country. The Sultan's court sparkled not only with luxury but also became a haven for science and the arts. The entire Ottoman Empire experienced its greatest period of prosperity, its golden age. The Magnificent Century. Psychologist Roy Baumeister notes that men are more prone to extremes. They are responsible for the majority of the world's most violent and terrible acts, yet they are also capable of extraordinary generosity and self-sacrifice. Since women have more balance, they help guide men toward goodness and selflessness. The famous Chinese Book of Changes provides many examples of how everything in the world consists of two mutually complementary forces, light and dark, as seen in the well-known Chinese symbol of the circle divided by a wavy line into white and black halves, with a small black circle inside the white part and a small white circle inside the black, heaven and earth, ruler and people, man, yang, and woman, yin. One cannot exist without the other, a man without a woman and a woman without a man. He creates her, and she creates him. A woman chooses the man who chooses her. Paul Geraldi. Without a wife, the home is chaos. In Daoist philosophy and practices, the relationship between a man and a woman is understood not only symbolically but also literally. Just as regular sex with a woman is important for a man's health, regular sex with a man is crucial for a woman and her well-being as well. European philosophers held similar views, though they were more inventive. In his famous dialogue The Symposium, the ancient Greek thinker Plato, discussing the nature of love, narrates a story about humans as incomplete beings. Once, people were androgynous, meaning man-woman in Greek, a being that was both male and female. But in a sorrowful moment, they split into two halves, which now seek each other in this imperfect world. The complex relationships between men and women are also reflected in the life and works of the famous German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. In his youth, Nietzsche contracted syphilis, which ultimately led to his insanity later in life, and as a result, he had a rather disdainful attitude towards most women. He is credited with the infamous phrase, "When you go to women, take a whip." However, Nietzsche also revered exceptional women, particularly sharing a deep spiritual connection with the famous Lou Salome, of Russian origin, who became an author of one of the earliest feminist texts. The relationship between men and women is always reciprocal. If one tries to demean the other, they will face the same degradation in return. An undervalued half devalues the whole, which means your own degradation as well. In the same way, elevating one's other half elevates oneself. Injustice towards one's other half will inevitably come back to the person. And it doesn't necessarily come from the offended half, it can come from relationships with other, unrelated people. Harmony or discord in a yin-yang, woman-man, relationship spreads to the rest of a person's interactions in the world. A man will not enjoy if a woman does not enjoy. Aristophanes. 3 friends, a father, a mother, and a faithful wife. Forget peace if you think you can rule a woman. Plautus. In higher order animals, especially mammals, including humans, there is a division into male and female individuals. However, the proportional dependence of reproduction intensity correlates only with the number of females. This has led scientists to question the biological purpose of two sexes and the necessity of an equal representation of males compared to females. In the overwhelming majority of mammals and many other vertebrates, males make up half of the population. Famous ethologist Robert Trivers introduced the concept of parental investment, defined as any contribution by a parent to an offspring that increases the offspring's chances of survival, and thus, their reproductive success. Later, English evolutionary biologist and geneticist John Maynard Smith concluded that the optimal behavior of one parent depends on the behavior of the other. This is especially evident when the sex ratio is 1:1, and the breeding season occurs simultaneously for all population members. The point is that females invest significantly more energy in reproduction and caring for offspring than males, which, in turn, reduces their ability to survive and continue reproducing in the future. Even the strictness of a beloved woman is full of infinite charm that we do not find, even in the happiest moments, in other women. Stendhal. Honor your father and mother, but honor your wife 5 times more. In nature, nothing exists without purpose. Everything is logical and often has a hidden, functional meaning. For their equal presence on earth alongside women, men must be grateful to women. In the desire to share parental investment, it is the woman who selects her life partner, evaluating his potential capabilities. In turn, the woman mobilizes in the man his hidden reserves and abilities, enabling him to provide her with more comfortable and less stressful living conditions. With a more stable organism and adaptable behavior, a woman can always guide a man on the right path, channeling his energy in the proper direction, making him better than he is. Catalan artist Salvador Dalí was certainly amusing and talented, but nothing more until his fateful, decisive encounter with Galina Diakonova, who was then still married to his friend, the poet Paul Éluard. Galina was the inspiration for Éluard's deeply powerful poetry. Salvador was struck by Galina's presence, overwhelmed by an intense sense of love. The woman changed everything in the artist, becoming the passion and even the purpose of his entire life. Galina became both muse and wife, inspiring Dalí with imaginative artistic ideas and, more importantly, handling the enormous advertising, managerial, and commercial aspects of his success. Dalí became immensely wealthy and famous worldwide for his paintings, and his exhibitions were met with overwhelming success, all thanks to Galina, who entered his life with deep, genuine artistic meaning. She was both model and central figure in many of his works, representing the beautiful, mystical, dizzying, and subconscious elements in human nature. Dalí's heightened love for Galina never left him, lasting until the end of his life. In his will, Salvador even wished to be buried beside Galina, with an opening cut into the side of their coffins so their hands could be intertwined, an eternal gesture to his muse and powerful wife. A good woman, when she marries, promises happiness, a bad one awaits it. Vasily Klyuchevsky. From a good wife, laughter comes sooner. A woman's worth can be measured by the man she loves. Vissarion Belinsky. The first book of the Bible, Genesis, and Christ himself in the Gospel of Matthew speak of one of the fundamental biblical archetypes. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Genesis 2:24, Matthew 19:5. Notice, it is not the woman who leaves and clings, but the man. According to the Bible, a woman's influence on men and the world is immense, even decisive. Let's recall the beginning of the biblical story and the first religious catastrophe recorded in Scripture. Through a woman, corruption entered human nature. Eve gives Adam the forbidden fruit, Genesis 3:17. Yet, salvation also comes through a woman. The Savior entered the world thanks to the faith and devotion of the Virgin Mary, Luke 1:26. The age of feminism has had a significant impact on society. Traditional gender roles and the behaviors of men and women, both in society and in the family, have been re-evaluated. The once delicate, feminine lady has been replaced by a confident, successful businesswoman actively competing with men. The question of who holds the stronger role has been cast into doubt, affecting family relationships and values. This has had varying impacts on different families. A woman is sacred, the woman you love is doubly sacred. Alexander Dumas, Father. Translation **. The man is the head, and the woman is the neck. Wherever the neck turns, the head looks. In Islam, a great deal of attention is paid to the fulfillment of marital roles. You look at one family, and it's as if they're on the rise. Economic stability, happiness, joy, harmony fills the home, the husband is strong and successful, the wife is beautiful and loving. Then you look at another family, and it's the opposite: constant discord and conflicts. The husband is an Oblomov, not striving to achieve anything beyond the couch, the wife is always unhappy and hysterical, and there's no financial stability. Why is that? In wedding photos, both families seemed equally happy, but now it feels like the second one has been replaced. Observing them, you sometimes notice that the first Muslim family adheres to traditional family values. The husband is the head of the family, a reliable and confident protector, while his wife is a true support and a strong backbone for him, loving and caring. In the past, men would mature earlier, entering marriage with significant life experience behind them. We're used to expecting strength, resilience, masculinity, courage, confidence, maturity, and independence from a man. But not all grooms grow into this image. Spouses educate each other, the wife educates the husband, and the husband educates the wife. Therefore, the prosperity of such a family requires long and meticulous work from both and becomes possible due to mutual trust and respect. A wife can be a support and help her husband become successful, just as it happened in the first happy family where the wife inspired and supported her husband. For a man to feel like the head of the family, the woman must subtly instill this in him, even if the reality doesn't fully reflect it. Alternatively, a wife can break her husband, turning him into an insecure, self-doubting, unsuccessful man, as happened in the second family, where the wife constantly nagged her husband for years about his low salary. One hadith, a historical record of the sayings and actions of the Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam, emphasizes the importance of a wife supporting her husband. If the husband returns home in a bad mood due to worries and burdens, and receives a joyful reception, comfort, and support from his wife, such a wife earns a reward equal to half of jihad. One should fear a woman's love more than a man's hate. It is a poison, all the more dangerous because it is sweet. Socrates. A good wife teaches how to run the household, while a bad one drives you away from home. For family happiness, harmony is crucial. It comes when the spouses stop seeing themselves as separate individuals but feel as part of one whole, two halves of completeness and unity. The male and female halves gradually merge, forming completeness, and among his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them, and he placed between you love and mercy. Quran 4:34. Judaism has long regarded marriage as the ideal state of human existence. A man without a wife or a woman without a husband is seen in Jewish society as incomplete individuals. The Talmud asserts, "He who lives without a wife knows no joy, blessing, help, or redemption from sin." Significantly, a woman's duties towards her husband go beyond material aspects, sex, childbirth, household chores. A woman must be a helper in all things. If a man neglects the spiritual aspects of life, she must help him find his place among those who study the Torah. In the book of Bereshit, a woman is called Ezer Kenegdo, a helper who stands opposite him. The sages explain that one of the main meanings of this term is that if a husband is devoted to studying the Torah, the woman becomes his helper, and if he neglects this and begins to lose his spiritual level, she stands against him. The sages believe this is not dependent on the woman's desire but is determined by the nature of things. The woman complements the man and contains everything that he lacks, both in the physical and spiritual worlds. Women are endowed by the gods with such pernicious power over the best men. And the weakest of wives, while pleasing the eyes of the gods, reign over the strong and brave. Pierre Corneille. There is a saying that the most beautiful woman cannot give more than she has. This is entirely false. She gives the man everything he expects from her, for in such relationships, the value is determined by the imagination. Cham Fort. The very name of marriage in Jewish tradition is unusual, kiddushin, sanctification. A man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, says the Torah. It should be noted that the obligation to cleave to his partner is on the man, not the woman. A woman carries immense potential, which the man is called to reveal. Her spiritual strength finds expression through the achievements of the man. Therefore, the sages of the Talmud say, if you want to know who the husband is, look at the wife. Buddhism also offers a unique perspective on the relationship between men and women. Speaking about the origin of humanity, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha stated that people were initially not sexually differentiated. Only later, when the division of labor during the rice harvest appeared, did the distinction between genders arise. Perhaps this is why the state of nirvana can be attained equally by both men and women. Buddha concluded that gender is irrelevant on the path to enlightenment. A woman who dedicates herself to attaining holiness is no less complete than a man saint. Consequently, Buddha even allowed the establishment of an order of nuns, which contradicted the social norms of India in his era, 6th century BCE. According to Buddha's teachings, there is no practical difference between the sexes. Men and women are equal in their interdependence, which they must overcome. They have the same rights and obligations in their partnership. For lay people who do not feel strong enough to embrace monasticism and choose marriage, Buddha formulated social and ethical norms, addressing a young householder named Sagala. In the sermon recorded as Sagala Veda Sutta, Buddha emphasized the importance of family relationships, considering them a source of either great happiness or significant suffering. Among the 5 duties Buddha assigned to husbands is not only providing wives with ornaments but also granting them authority. Praising a wife for her body isn't enough, praise her for her deeds. A good wife is a treasure, with her, one knows no sorrow. In Buddhism, the foundation of all existence is considered the feminine principle due to the woman's ability to give birth. Meditation master Trungpa Rinpoche wrote, "A wise woman is a guide, helping a man's beam of light penetrate the deepest layers of matter. She is like a lens that can diffuse an overly harsh ray, soften its glow, or, on the contrary, gather and concentrate the man's light for more refined and precise work." One might say that a woman is a cell of the primordial divine body. She is intuitive and sensitive. The man is a spark of the divine mind, seeking to understand his body. A man is made by a woman, says a Corsican proverb. From ancient times, men have been willing to do great things for their women. They've performed incredible feats, even ready to give their lives for their beloved. The influence of women on men has always been a relevant topic, and recent psychological studies reveal new aspects of this influence. For example, Professor Michael Dahl and his colleagues, in their research, found that the mere presence of a woman can be enough to steer a man toward generosity. The professor's team studied the generosity of wealthy men and their inclination to care for others, as well as what fuels these feelings. Instead of looking at charitable donations broadly, the researchers examined why some men in leadership positions pay their employees more than their peers. The team analyzed payments to employees in 10,000 Danish companies over 10 years. They found a fascinating fact: some male managers began to pay their staff less after becoming fathers. On average, after a manager had a child, he paid each employee $100 less annually. Upon closer analysis, the researchers found that the difference in staff payments directly depended on the gender of the newborn. The reduction in wages occurred only when male managers had sons. When a daughter was born, payments remained unchanged. The researchers logically concluded that daughters soften their fathers, making them more inclined to care for and pay attention to others. With a good wife, sorrow is halved, and joy is doubled. If it weren't for Helen, / what is Troy to you, a Kian men. Ossip Mandelstam. As a result of other studies conducted in the United States and the United Kingdom, it was found that legislators with daughters tend to vote more liberally. Of course, these changes in men occur not only under the influence of daughters but women in general. In one British study, it was recorded that the more attractive a woman is, the more often a man performs good deeds for her. If a man knows that a woman is watching him, he becomes more generous and caring towards others, something that doesn't happen if no one is watching or if the observer is another man. Bill Gates acknowledges the influence of his mother and wife on his charitable work. Midway through his path to becoming the richest man, Gates resisted suggestions to create a charitable foundation. However, within a year, he changed his mind, and within 3 years, he ranked third on the Forbes list of the most generous philanthropists in America. Interestingly, this period coincided with the birth of his daughter. Gates says it was his mother, Mary, and his wife, Melinda, who became the catalysts for these changes. My mother always insisted that I should do more for others, he admits. At dinners he organized with Warren Buffett for billionaires to discuss philanthropy, Gates always emphasized the importance of having the wives of these wealthy men present. He is absolutely convinced that they are the ones who guide their men towards the path of helping and caring for others. To have a good wife means no boredom, no sorrow. Be content with a lawful wife and with only one. A wife's affection gives strength to her husband. Psychologists believe that mixed gender groups in schools positively influence the upbringing of boys. In addition to learning academic subjects, boys learn from girls how to help and care for others. This increases the likelihood that, when these boys grow up and become successful men, they will be more like Bill Gates than Scrooge. It is often said that behind every great man is a great woman. Perhaps it's even more accurate to say that a great woman walks ahead of a great man, and if he is wise enough, he will surely follow her.